Donald Trump tonight with a salute to one of the most revered presidents in American history, and then a fist pump to the crowd. The president-elect's trip to Washington starting off with what else? A tweet. The journey begins, and I will be working and fighting very hard to make it a great journey for the American people. A motorcade through Manhattan and a flight to Washington on a military plane. This time, the United States of America emblazoned on the side. The whole Trump family on board. Ivanka with her husband Jared Kushner and their children. And finally, the soon-to-be First Lady and the president-elect himself offering a salute. Their first stop, his new hotel. Congressional Republicans gathered there to celebrate him.
What a beautiful room this is. Where is this? This is a gorgeous room. A total genius must have built this.
Then it was off to the inauguration's first official order of business, a solemn wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. After that, time for celebration. Thousands of Trump supporters gathering on the Mall for a welcome concert. On the eve of his swearing in, give me one word that describes how you're feeling right now about Donald Trump's presidency.
Excited, hopeful.
Excited and hopeful. This country still so divided. The number of House Democrats boycotting the inauguration now up to 64. In New York tonight, protests already underway, with thousands more traveling to the nation's capital.
Hundreds of LGBT activists marched in protest against Vice President-elect Mike Pence. They turned up the music and started a dance party just half a block away from his residence in Washington, D.C. They were chanting, "Daddy Pence, come dance," condemning the former Indiana governor's positions on marriage equality and religious freedom. LGBT activists and allies planned their demonstration along with Disrupt J20, protesting the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. The organizer of Disrupt J20 says they plan to stop the inauguration by any means.
We're going to be blocking all the major checkpoints to get into the inaugural parade route and the viewing areas. We're also at 10 in the morning having a anti-capitalist march that's leaving from Logan Circle. We're also at noon having a permitted march from Columbus Circle. We're gathering in McPherson Square, and there's going to be more unpermitted actions after that, and we're also going to be doing some transit blockades throughout the day.
We're disrupting Donald Trump's inauguration to demonstrate that we're not going to tolerate not only his presidency, but all the hate and the bigotry that goes along with it, and all the general normalization of fascism.
President Obama says he doesn't think the expansion of LGBT rights will reverse in the United States. And in his final presidential news conference, he said society's attitudes have changed on same-sex marriage and LGBT troops in the military. President Obama hopes for more rights for transgender people, but he added that, quote, he could not be prouder of the nation's transformation on the issues during his presidency.
President Obama recently filed a parting appeal to protect drone secrecy. According to website Politico, President Obama has claimed credit for putting in place procedures to govern targeted killings, particularly those aimed at Americans, and has also made public statistics about drone strikes and some details on the targeting process, including a so-called drone playbook. However, he has also sought to maintain secrecy about other aspects of the program, including facts that are commonly known. At his final press conference, President Obama commented, "In this new cyber age, we're going to have to make sure that we continually work to find the right balance of accountability and openness and transparency that is the hallmark of our democracy, but also recognize that there are adversaries and bad actors out there who want to use that same openness in ways that hurt us."
Moving on, the Russian government has lashed out at the White House's policies toward the Kremlin during President Barack Obama's term in office.
The behavior of the Obama administration looks so ridiculous and so shameful for such a great country as the United States. It's difficult to associate these convulsive actions with the position of the American people in general. We sincerely regret that the presidency of Barack Obama, especially his second term, was a period of missed opportunities for bilateral relations.
Well, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman sharply criticized Obama for failing to deliver on his presidential campaign promise of developing Washington-Moscow relations. Maria Zakharova expressed hope that the incoming U.S. administration led by Donald Trump would move to improve bilateral ties. The Republican billionaire has at various times supported the idea of the U.S. having better relations with Russia.
So we are learning some new details about the U.S. fight against ISIS in Libya now. U.S. defense officials telling us 2 B-2 bombers dropped more than 100 bombs on 2 ISIS training camps, and that an estimated 85 militants were killed in that operation.
The strikes, we've learned, were authorized by President Obama earlier this week. Defense Secretary Ash Carter said his commanders recommended using nuclear-capable bombers for the Libyan mission. I pressed the Defense Secretary and his spokesman as to why U.S. warplanes based in Europe could not have struck the training camps, which the U.S. has been watching for some time. Designed to send a message to countries like Russia, China, on the eve of an inauguration?
This was a mission designed to kill terrorists who threaten the United States, our allies, and our interests, and it shows our willingness to go after ISIL wherever they appear.
U.S. drones were used to track and kill a handful of ISIS fighters fleeing the chaos by foot. Fox News has also learned since August, the U.S. military has conducted 495 airstrikes in Libya in the city of Sirte, mostly using drones. 2 U.S. Navy warships off the Libyan coast were available to provide search and rescue. The USS Donald Cook and USS Porter had helicopters and a team ready to fly ashore if needed. The Air Force bombers flew from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and refueled 5 times in midair. The mission lasted 30 hours, Martha. Reports that Russian officials recently met with a well-known Libyan general on board a Russian aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean, promising weapons for Libya, may have contributed to the U.S. desire to show Russia and others the long reach of the U.S. Air Force.
Quite a story.
The British Army is testing its capability to send tanks through the Channel Tunnel, a railway which runs beneath the English Channel to France. On Tuesday, January 17th, the British Army moved 5 tanks onto trains and sent them through the tunnel to France and back. The UK is closing its military bases in Germany by the end of the decade, so the exercise is preparation for a possible military crisis in mainland Europe, particularly with Russia. The operation follows shortly after recent U.S. military exercises were conducted near the Russian border. In the last week alone, the U.S. has sent thousands of troops to both Poland and Norway for training missions to deter any possible Russian aggressions at NATO's eastern border. Great Britain plans to send 800 troops to Estonia sometime in early 2017 to increase NATO forces amid growing tensions with Russia.
Facebook has restored access to RT's page after banning our network for about 20 hours. Confusion over live streaming rights during RT's broadcast of President Obama's final press conference seems to have triggered the ban.
First off, contrary to what you may have read and seen in the headlines, RT was not banned on Facebook. The RT English and just the RT English page was temporarily blocked from posting media content. That's photos, videos, interviews, links to various articles. That all happened really because of Barack Obama's press conference, final press conference. The RT Facebook page broadcast that, or rather rebroadcast that press conference, and the Facebook system that detects rights infringements, a special bot, it detected that the RT stream was violating someone's rights to that broadcast. It was a mistake, an error, but in the heat of the moment, in the confusion of it all, tempers flared a little bit. For example, the Russian telecommunications watchdog said that, you know, if RT was being censored, then there would be an appropriate response. Fortunately, before it could all get out of hand, RT contacted Facebook. Facebook carried out an internal investigation and said, you know, we have no problem with RT. RT had the rights to that broadcast, to rebroadcast the content, just like many other news agencies do. They sorted everything out, and the RT English page was unblocked from posting new content.
I think this is the first blow in Facebook's self-proclaimed war against so-called fake news, that they are using the excuse of copyright to actually censor a legitimate news channel and stop them from covering a world event that the rest of the world is going to be watching without any problem on other channels.
Denmark says it won't send welfare benefits to ISIS anymore. The Justice Ministry has vowed to reverse an error that sent money from Danish taxpayers to ISIS militants. The mistake was first reported in late December by Danish news agency Ekstra Bladet. Authorities believe that at least 135 people have left Denmark to join ISIS in Syria. Of those, Ekstra Bladet reporters believe 34 continue to receive cash benefits from the government, and 2 others received money from private state-subsidized funds. Lawmakers hope a new bill will help prevent such oversights from happening in the future. The bill includes new rules to halt government benefits whenever someone has been named a national security risk or when the government believes an individual has gone to fight with armed groups abroad. Russia Today reported that Danish welfare assistance sent to ISIS fighters totals roughly $94,500.
Welcome back. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates was just named one of the 8 men who combined possess more wealth than half the world's population. Last week, I sat down with him for a wide-ranging interview. We talked Donald Trump, the responsibilities of social media companies. But first, Gates told me about his Gates Foundation new global initiative to prevent epidemics.
A number of countries and foundations are coming together to look at making vaccines in advance of an epidemic so that we can have platforms that are very quick to make new vaccines.
$460 million has been pledged to develop the next generation of vaccines to help fight the spread of the 3 deadly viruses that affect the world. A group of governments and charities at the World Economic Forum in Davos say scientists need to speed up vaccine development, so they're targeting 3 deadly diseases that have no cure and mainly affect sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, and Asia.
The coalition wants to have 2 experimental vaccines ready for testing for each virus within the next 5 years. The funding comes from the Wellcome Trust, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the governments of Germany, Japan, and Norway. CEPI also has the backing of major pharmaceutical companies GSK and Johnson & Johnson.
In a venture they said could help migrants, refugees, and others struggling within their communities worldwide to improve their economic and social status, billionaire investor George Soros will partner with MasterCard. The partnership is called Humanity Ventures. It stems from a pledge Soros made in September to earmark up to $500 million for investments to address challenges facing migrants and refugees. In a joint statement on Thursday, MasterCard and Soros said that despite billions of dollars of humanitarian and development assistance, millions of people remain marginalized. They say it is a situation the private sector can help rectify.
In cities and towns across the United States, from California to Pennsylvania, local leaders, health officials, and researchers are taking action after a Reuters report revealed thousands of communities where children had tested with lead poisoning at higher rates than in Flint, Michigan. In response to the alarming crisis, measures such as blood lead screenings, property inspections, hazard abatement, and community outreach programs are being advanced to protect children from the toxic threat. In an investigation last month, the news agency discovered that nearly 3,000 U.S. communities had recently recorded lead poisoning rates at least double those found in Flint. A shocking 1,100 of these neighborhoods had a rate of elevated blood tests at least 4 times higher than in Flint.
Toxic air pollution forces London Mayor Sadiq Khan to declare a public health emergency in the city. It's expected to last through Saturday, January 21st. Moderate air pollution levels could hit more than half the capital city's 32 boroughs, with the worst of it affecting central London. Public health officials are advising people to stay inside and avoid strenuous activity if they experience irritation, particularly if they have heart or lung problems. London has a long history of poor air quality. The worst pollution event ever to hit the city was in December 1952, when a thick layer of smog enveloped London for days. At least 4,000 people died during what's now known as the Great Smog. Regarding this week's pollution, Mayor Khan says the city will, quote, continue to use all the technology at its disposal to inform Londoners about levels of air pollution in their neighborhoods.
busy place, but not anymore. This gas station is one of hundreds which have been shut down due to acute energy crisis. Authorities have decided to close down gas filling stations for indefinite period in Punjab province in order to meet the growing demand of fuel for domestic consumers. But the move has affected millions of people who rely on natural gas for transportation. The government, on the other hand, defended the move, saying its priority is to ensure uninterrupted gas supply to domestic consumers. The problem of gas shortage is not new for Pakistan. Despite promises by the successive governments, there has been no serious effort to address the issue. Pakistan's local gas reserves have been depleting fast. That is why it is exploring other options. One of those options include importing natural gas from neighboring Iran. The project, however, is facing delay, primarily because Pakistan has yet to complete work on its side of the border. Experts here believe that Pakistan must speed up works on the gas pipeline project following the lifting of economic sanctions on Iran.
The EU foreign policy chief reiterates the bloc's commitment to the Iran nuclear deal, stressing that the accord cannot be renegotiated by one party.
On the Iran deal, we've made very clear from the beginning, and will continue to do that first of all, it's a deal that 1 year after its implementation, it's bringing good results to the rest of the world, entire world, including the Americans, including Europe, and that the European Union is committed to preserve and continue to implement the deal. And the deal is not a unilateral, bilateral deal that can be renegotiated by one party alone. So it's a multilateral framework, and we are ready to protect and preserve it.
On Tuesday, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani also ruled out the possibility of renegotiating the July 2015 agreement under the incoming U.S. administration. American President-elect Donald Trump, who will take office on Friday, has threatened to either scrap the deal or seek a better one.
Donald Trump's nominee to be the ambassador to the United Nations supports moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Trump promised to make that move during the presidential campaign. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley told Senate Foreign Relations Committee members she, quote, absolutely backs the move because that's what Israel and congressional Republicans want. And she blasted the UN for its attacks on the Jewish state.
Nowhere has the UN's failure been more consistent and more outrageous than its bias against our close ally, Israel.
A spokesperson for Jordan recently told the Associated Press the move would, quote, inflame the Islamic and Arab streets.
Israel's upgraded ballistic missile shield has just become operational in a Star Wars-like extension of its capabilities. The joint Israeli-American Arrow 3 system is designed to take intercontinental ballistic missiles into outer space, where they'll be destroyed by kamikaze satellites. These high-altitude shootdowns are designed to safely dispose of whatever nuclear, biological, chemical, or conventional payloads are carried by the rockets. Israeli defense officials say the new system and its Arrow 2 predecessor will significantly reduce the possibilities of ballistic missiles ever hitting the Jewish state.
Today, we're entering a new era, the Arrow 3 era. We're very proud to deliver to the Air Force initially the first capability of Arrow 3. We built during the last almost 10 years together with the Missile Defense Agency and with a lot of help from U.S. Congress and U.S. administration, this system.
Arrow 3 system, it's another piece in our multi-tier concept, such as the Arrow 2, the David Sling, and the Iron Dome, that will bring us for another era dealing with the incoming threat from north, from east, from non-state actors and states as well.
Arrow serves as the top tier of the integrated Israeli missile shield. Its Iron Dome short-range rocket interceptor was used extensively with high success rates in the 2014 Gaza war against Islamist Hamas terrorists. And the David Sling system is being developed to shoot down mid-range, lower-altitude missiles, such as those in the arsenal of the Lebanon-based Hezbollah terror group, which last fought a war with Israel in 2006. The latest addition to Israeli defense comes amid frequently voiced concerns over the ballistic missile threat posed by its arch-foe, Iran.
Rescuers battle in the darkness to reach a mountain hotel in central Italy, buried by an avalanche.
With roads blocked, many traveled on skis, carving a path through the snow, only to find most of the 4-story Rigopiano hotel submerged under snow and debris. Emergency workers shoveled, looking for those believed to be trapped inside. The fear is that at least 30 people may have died. The rescue operation has been hampered by up to 5 meters of snow, which has fallen on the Gran Sasso mountain range in central Abruzzo in recent days. The avalanche hit the hotel after a series of strong earthquakes rattled the region in recent days. This part of central Italy is still recovering from a deadly earthquake in August, which killed hundreds and left thousands homeless.
Would you camp here? Yes or no? You see those feet in the video? Well, this guy thought, hey, why not? I'll just camp right here next to this sinister-looking inferno. It's dubbed the door to hell. It's actually the Darvaza crater, and it's located in the heart of the Turkmenistan desert. Now, this, believe it or not, was actually created by accident. It was a Soviet drilling accident in the 1970s. The problem was that it was releasing all kinds of dangerous gases, so scientists set it on fire to try and burn them off. But it's been burning ever since. Pretty remarkable and pretty brave of that guy.
This is your cake, and it says 108.
No, that can't be right.
She was in her own home for over 70 years. She moved here and she has some level of peace here, and I think to move her again at 108, it just breaks my heart.
I just joy everybody and everything, every day. And I'm just grateful I'm still here.